Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Kim x Bonnie x Shego? Part 1. Huge shout out to QB16 for this story. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. I'm not sure where to start. With each passing day I began noticing something different about my friends since pre-K. Stoppable, my best friend forever, has been keeping secrets from me. I know I may sound paranoid right now, but after putting the pieces together from what I've been observing, it makes sense. People tend to wonder how polar opposites like us tend to be so close. He not only displays a lack of ambition, but also sarcastic at times and views the world in an odd, different sort of way. It was like he had a crafted persona for each situation. The first being his usually cheerful and upbeat self. He never seems to go with the fad, and is largely unconcerned with appearances as well. Then there is the sidekick mode, as it's called, in which my extremely loyal best friend tends to trip over his own feet or lose his pants during dangerous missions. He means well, and despite his clumsy nature I find solace in him always having my back. The final piece of the puzzle was the fact that he's a high school underdog that doesn't excel in school or sports, to the point of where his lack of focus has made it hard for him to grasp basic thoughts instead of a lack of inert ability to understand the subject itself. Even considering all this, one would wonder why I'm so suspicious, as that subtly hints and changes caught my eye. From a young age he had always been quite thin, a bit pudgy, but I've been starting to notice he was growing and maintaining a build. Whenever I tend to had caught him by surprise during this initial process, I could have sworn his eyes were different, sharp as one would say. Ever since the early days of this suspicion, he's seemed more guarded, to the point I can hardly catch him doing something that's not typical Ron. The first substantial incident was when Dr. Draken, an evil scientist and my arch-enemy, was yet again trying to pull off another scheme. This plot was going to require us to go to Tokyo, meaning I had to call in one of my many numerous favors from people I helped over the years. To think this whose saving the world business began all because my website was chosen by mistake. I was thrown off my attention to study Ron to satisfy my own suspicions when we got into a small argument of whether Draken was trying to take over the world or steal Christmas. It was a normal occurrence, and dismissing the past few days as me being paranoid, so I didn't think about things too much. Though after the dance, which Josh accepted my invitation, of course, I didn't see Ron for most of the night, and when I did he was talking to a guy I've never seen before. When I asked him about it, he changed the subject. The next incident was at Camp Wannaweep. When he was freaking out and acting crazier than usual, I didn't pay too much mind to it. Though that one thing he mentioned about the evil squirrel that snarled at him. That's something you never forget, and file that away for later in a possible list of things your friend might need possible help in. I don't even know how to start on the whole. Ron's old camp buddy was mutated into a fish-like mutant by the lake due to it being a dumping ground for toxins. It was the first time I've witnessed Ron being truly brave and quite crafty in how he dispatched Gil with 2 LS. With the police showing up and Gil being carted off, I couldn't be more proud of Ron than I was now. 0. It's a nostalgic sort of feeling, reminds me of old times. He faintly mumbled with a hint of fondness in a manner completely different than his own. People, seeing the solemn look on Ron's face and the sharp change of his body language, was wondering if this was the same guy. You were really brave, Ron. Sorry I doubted you, even if it only was for a moment. The platinum blonde cheerleader by the name of Tara said, and kissed him on the cheek. Tara Strong, no relation to the voice actress, a beautiful cheerleader, was considered a cutie with the potential to grow up to be quite beautiful. With sea green eyes, a fairly impressive chest, not to mention leggy, she was rather popular for a younger student. Ron lightly blushed in response from the intimate gesture from the pretty blonde. Tare. If you ever need someone to talk to, then you can always find me at school, okay? Yeah, thanks. He responded with a grin. You know, it's not like you're not still, you. But it would really stink if that jerk had turned us into mutants. And you were kinda brave and all. This comment came from one Bonnie Rockwaller, the school's up-and-coming fledgling queen. The brunette was known for her catty behavior and ability to shred reputations with her sharp tongue. She was also a bombshell with amazing legs, thin waist, wide hips, and easily being one of the bustiest girls at school. Bonnie was a girl that made use of her brain and beauty to get far when it came to being popular in school. Ron just smiled. "You're welcome, Bon Bon," he said as Bonnie growled menacingly. Normally she would have berated the team's mascot, but decided that she would allow him to get away with it just this one time. He did beat that sad excuse of a swamp monster after all. I guess hanging out with Kim for the better part of the decade meant he was going to have to pick up a skill or two. Fantastic work, Ronald, Barkin thought with a smile. Now I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who wants to. The smile from Ron's face dropped as his eyes hardened. 3 objects whizzed from the tree heading towards the cheerleader. Look out! Being the only one who experienced danger on a near-daily basis, resident heroine KimPossible was able to easily dodge the projectiles while Ron tackled a few cheerleaders to the ground. They cried out in dismay, but silence soon followed as a dark chuckle echoed throughout the woods. Everyone from the cops, ambulance drivers, to high school students were placed on guard. A figure dropped down from the trees, with bluish hair and a pretty boy face. So it is true, so you have been hiding like a coward, Uzumaki Naruto. The man sneered. Rokusho Aoi. Ron's eyes narrowed, noticed his features. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. I wonder who went to the trouble to bring your sorry ass back alive? Not to mention how he got here as well. If you're thinking about getting revenge, it's foolish. I beat you as a loudmouth and foolish genin with only a few techs under my belt. It's been so many years since then, it's laughable to think you stand a chance now. Don't get beepy, boy. Slacking off in a world like this for years could only mean you've grown rusty. That won't stop us from pounding you into the ground. I'll look forward to giving you a sizzling funerals. A second figure said, emerging from the forest. You think bringing Raiga would help? Something isn't right. Their aura is way too hostile, and the look in their eyes. They're not only too confident, BT, the hatred in them doesn't make sense. Whoever brought them back mustn't have done this them. I wonder how they're related to that mysterious shade? The slightly older brown-haired shinobi responded. I've got new eyes now, don't underestimate me, as I still was one of Kiri's 7 swordsmen. Same people, same results, futon, de tapa. Ron swung his hands at the 2 swordsmen. A huge gale of wind burst from Ron's palms, blasting both men backwards, knocking them into the water. This wasn't like with Gil. He had to take them out quickly, and he wasn't going to risk people's lives to maintain a secret. Forming the hand seals, he created several identical copies of himself. All of you, finish cutting the rest of them down from Gil's trap and get everyone out of here. Ron, you are not leaving me behind. Now what's going on? How are you even doing this? Kim asked, her green eyes flashing with concern. While super-powered beings were known to this world, they were extremely rare, and seeing her best friend having these powers was mind-boggling. Sorry, Kim, there's no time to explain, and don't argue with me on this. I'll explain everything later, but if you and all the others are here, my focus will be divided. But Kim stopped after seeing the look Ron had in his eye. All right, I'll hold you to that. No sooner had Kim finished speaking, the clones had finished cutting everyone down from Gil's gooey muck, and the figures of Aoi and Raiga burst from the water. Well, I hope you're happy, Uzumaki. You have officially pissed me off. Now you and your little friends are going to die, Aoi said with a sneer on his face. Aoi then charged at Ron and the girls, with the Raijin in hand. Ron was momentarily stunned, as he was pretty damn sure he destroyed that blade. Biting his right thumb and swiping the blood-soaked digit across the top of his left hand. With a faint poofing sound, a blade materialized. The sword itself looked like fairly high quality. Even the cheerleaders could tell just by looking at it. The blade was almost 12 feet in length, and 1/3 foot wide. The blade itself looked razor-sharp, and was a deep blue, almost a sapphire color, with various kanji running up and down the blade. Ron then grasped the blade in his right hand, and with a quick swing, Ron blocked the Amnin's blade, lashing out with his foot as he did so, knocking him on his back about 10 feet away. What are you all still doing here? Go! The last thing I need is to divide my focus between fighting them and keeping you girls sage. I'll Kagebunshin with them. Now go! Ron said, raising his blade just a little higher. Startled out of their reverie, the civilian turned and stared to run to the bus with the bunshin in tow. Raiga attempted to follow, swords in hand, but was quickly blocked, courtesy of Ron's blade nearly taking his head off. Sorry, but to get to them, you'll have to get past me. I'll take you both on. So bring it, Mendo no Baka. Ron then flashed through several one-handed seals, ending in Tora. Katan Dai Enden. As he blew, a moderately sized fireball came flying out, nailing Raiga in the face. Raiga dropped his swords, clutching at his burned face. Quickly turning around with his sword in tow, the blonde warrior took off Raiga's head with a single swing. He grimaced as he felt the muscle in his arm tense up. He then sprinted to where Aoi was just getting up, and as he neared his target, the former Konoha ninja started flashing through seals, ending with Tora. Suetun, Sijin Hiki. Aoi spat out a torrent of water, and then quickly used an Doton Jutsu to move underground and get a little space away from him. He then reappeared above ground about a quarter-mile away. Damn, maybe challenging him like this wasn't such a good idea, Aoi said, panting. You may be right. But suffice to say, attacking like this is not something I can forgive. Your second life ends here. Celestial Slash. A large crescent beam made out of pure white energy lashed out, heading straight for Aoi. Electrify, Raijin. A surge of energy burst from the blade, hitting Ron in the chest, knocking him down, as well as dispelling the red blast. When Ron stumbled to his feet, what he saw shocked him. Whereas earlier, the Raijin sword could have been mistaken for a Kodachi, now could easily been confused for Momochi Zabuza's Kubakiri Hachibo. 1.5 feet in length, while about 8 inches wide, the sword seemed oddly out of place held in Aoi's slender frame. Taking it up a notch, huh? Well then, I will too. Rain down, Reijiki. After Ron finished speaking, a flash of blue light burst from the sword, and when it faded, Aoi gasped in surprise. Held in Ron's head was a pair of katanas with a black hilt, each about 1.5 feet in length and about 3 inches wide. Ron then charged the traitor, catching him by surprise with 2 quick jabs, both of which were blocked by Aoi's ridiculously large sword. Ron then swung one katana, aiming to take Aoi's head clean off, which was again blocked with Aoi's sword. Ron then jabbed the other katana, piercing through the ribs and hitting him in the lung. Aoi hissed in severe pain and dropped his sword. Ron swung his sword and decapitated the Nukenin, letting his body fall to the ground. He pulled out a scroll and sealed Aoi's head inside, then rolled the scroll together, tied it, and placed it in his back pocket. He then sealed the Raijin sword and burned Aoi's body. Then he went over to Raiga's body and repeated the process. Well, this is just great. Now I'm going to have to explain so much shit I'd rather not have to. Well, better get over there, before they decide to send the army after me, he thought to himself. As Ron walked into the clearing where everyone was waiting for him, he couldn't help but feel a sense the impending headache that came with explanations. Ron, everything is over, right? If that's the case, you are going to sit down and tell us everything, Kim said with a stern look in her eye. All right, just let me set a few things up, because this is a very long story. He walked over to a small tree and got some kindle, and then used wind manipulation to make firewood. Then he put the firewood into the pit sitting there, and lit it with a basic katan jutsu. All right, Ron began, this goes back to many years ago. Back to before I was Ron Stoppable. To put it simply, it all began when a boy by the name of Uzumaki Naruto. It was all just so much to take in. All she had thought she knew about the blonde was changed practically overnight. Hey Kim, are you okay? The concern in the blonde's voice seemed to break her from her thoughts. Huh? She responded, startled as Ron called to her. Oh, sorry, you were saying something? You've been like this ever since Wannaweep. The blonde brought up as the girl sighed. Well, how would you react if your best friend since pre-K has been lying to you your entire life? she snapped. She then sighed once more and responded with, I'm sorry, it's just difficult for me to get used to. All this time. I know I really don't know what to tell you, Kim. My memories had only started coming back recently. The last few months had been a whirlwind of emotions to him. He shuddered, thinking he would have been once more forever stuck behind a childish persona if not for that one mission with Draken where he accidentally knocked over some violate chemicals that exploded and knocked him out. While he hated the distress and fear he put his friend through, the incident jogged his memory. Even now the memories of what occurred before he arrived in this world were still masked from him. You have all these amazing gifts, so why hide them? I mean, being a sidekick to a world-saving heroine isn't exactly making the best of your abilities. Trying to adjust to all this hasn't been the easiest process. Currently it looks like I can't keep what is happening under wraps anymore, so that means I have to adapt and, well, become my original self again. Meaning? I have to train and get back to my old standards as well as improve myself academically. If anyone asks, we'll just say I was injured on a mission and needed emergency reconstruction surgery to fix my face. With that he released the henge, bringing back to life the old familiar cerulean blue eyes and spiky blonde hair. Naruto Uzumaki was back. That's a bit of a stretch, don't you think? She said, eyeing the blonde up and down. A faint blush appeared on her cheeks. This is what he really looked like. He was tall. Much taller than her, his hair much nicer, his face and build devoid of fat, and he was noticeably more toned. I mean, everyone has known you in Middleton for years. That'd be kind of hard to pass off. I'm not that worried. They treat the facts as us fighting maniacs trying to take over the world with dismissal for the most part. I doubt they'll give me too much grief over this. If you say so, she responded as they walked up the sidewalk and entered the doorway to Middleton High. Now I just hope to slowly ease the rest of the school into the magnificence that is. He noticed the mischievous look on Kim's face. New haircut and clothes. Ron Stoppable has a new look, check him. Kim! Naruto cried out as the eyes of the students snapped in the directions of the popular cheerleader's voice. See ya, she said as she shot off. I'll get you for this, he called after her. She disappeared around the corner with Naruto hot in pursuit. He turned the corner and nearly bowled over a flock of teenage girls, but luckily enough he was able to stop just in time. They were seniors, ones whom he often saw at the school's sports events. He knew the name of one, Amelia, long brown hair and soft blue eyes. Like a lot of people, she apparently had 30 copies of the same outfit as she wore her often worn pink tank top and beige pants. Sorry about that, Amelia, didn't mean to knock you over like that. Do I know you? She responded, sounding a bit miffed while looking aloof. Ron Stoppable. She paused for a moment, as if trying to decide whether or not to reply. What? But? I mean, what happened to you? You don't look like you. Ron had a bit of baby face, with a pudge and wore unflattering clothes. Nothing like the blonde before her. Mission gone wrong. Had to have some facial reconstruction surgery. Medicines not on the market helped with the speedy recovery. He was banking on most of the student body's lack of extensive medical knowledge to buy the lie. I'd give my compliments to the surgeon. You look good and I'm digging the new hairstyle, she replied with a small smile. Why, thank you. I'll see you later, she said with a wave. She and her group went on as her friends giggled, talking about this interesting new development. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. School continued like always, with the exception of people giving Ron compliments on his change. Thankfully there was a thing such as rumor mills, so he didn't have to explain the whole surgery angle 50 million times. Naruto caught Kim as she was coming out of the front door. Hey Kim! Hey Ron, so how's the first day of this change? She winced. She had known him as Ron for so long that calling him something different was going to take some time to get used to. Don't worry about it. I know it's going to take time for you to get used to it, he gently assured her. So what's the sitch? You mean Yuri's still going to help me? The redhead asked in surprise. She was still trying to wrap her head around what Naruto had told her, and she assumed that he was going to stop being her sidekick and started living his life differently from the get-go. Kim, even with everything that has happened doesn't mean I'm going to just abandon you. I'm your best friend. We're best friends. I have your back as long as I'm here, you know. Yes, she responded. While you're still here. She shook away the thought and decided to answer his question. Wade contacted me a little while ago. There's been blackouts all over Europe, but the epicenter seems to be Paris. So do we have any mode of transportation? Wade contacted the French aeronautics firm. He's done some consulting work for them, so he has some connections with them. A trip to Paris, France, huh? Sounds like a fun little trip. The plane ride to France was as eventful as any long plane ride could be. Okay, so I was able to get a signal and I'm tracking in on. Kim looked up and noticed Ron chatting up one of the locals in French. Bon hour, je m'appelle Ron et toi? Je m'appelle Michel, is this your first time in Paris? More or less. Unfortunately, I'm here for business, but if I'm here for pleasure, maybe I can give you a call and you give me a tour? Sounds good to me. Let me give you my number. Kim watched the exchange as she felt a small surge of jealousy as the French girl blew Ron a kiss, only to trip into stairs with a cry of ah due to her not paying attention. Are you done, Casanova? Can we focus back on the mission? Naruto smiled and asked in a teasing tone. Is someone tweaking? I am not tweaked, she exclaimed as her focus went back to the communicator in her hand. You reek tweak, he responded with a cheeky grin. Don't worry, you're still my one and only, he continued as Kim's eyes widened as she started to blush. She was about to ask what he meant by that, but two more French girls walked by and greeted the blonde with a bonjour. He seemed quite intent on checking out the sights. You know, the French seem really nice. I don't see why people are always making fun of them. Ronin Naruto Heaver you are, she started to say, only for Ron to interrupt her with a, huh? You say something? He suddenly asked, turning to her. Ah! Kim cried out in a huff. The lights in Paris started flickering off one by one until an entire section blanked out, including the Eiffel Tower's lights. I'm contacting Wade, Kim stated, pressing a few buttons on the device as the face of the dark-skinned, slightly chubby young teen flickered onto the screen. We'll need more than just a jet ride if we're going to get to the bottom of things. I find it funny the military has the money to build pilotless drone choppers, yet over a third of the human race is starving. Kim ignored Ron's statement. I've traced the drain to 8 degrees 1 minute west, 46 degrees north, but my map shows nothing out there. Rufus points out the window. Nothing left its lights on, he stated as an island came into view. The pilotless drone chopper sets down on the island smoothly. Dressed in their mission gear, the two of them made their way to their destination. You can refer to me as Naruto when it's just you and me, the blonde spoke up suddenly, piercing through the quiet of the island's atmosphere. It makes sense to refer to me as Ron at school until enough time to pass for me to claim a legal name change. I'll come up with something. But Ron, when we're around other people? The redhead asked as her companion nodded. So you're still hiding your identity for the time being? With they finally arrived at a rather largely wall, strongly built, and rising high into the sky. Meet you at the top, he said as he began walking up the side of the building like he was walking down the street, to Kim's disbelief. Making a mental note of trying to find out just what else her mystery-keeping friend was capable of, she took out a hair-dryer/grappling hook device and fired it. Luckily or convenient enough, the length was long enough for the hook to hook into the side, and she began scaling the wall. After 15 minutes she exhaled a breath of relief and began slowly scaling down the side where Ron was waiting. Not too long after, the duo took notice of an unlikely person on the other side of the wall, down on the ground. The person looked in his 20s and about 5 feet 11 inches. He was top-heavy built, but not quite enough to weigh any more than 170 to 185 pounds. He had black, fairly plastered to his head. His eye color was that of a pale blue and robust tan, most likely of Spanish origin. He was wearing a tight yellow t-shirt with a red belt and tight black pants. The two of them descended from their place and landed before the Spanish male. Hello? Kim greeted awkwardly, unsure of just how you start a conversation in such an odd situation. Father, I see people. They must be the new servants. The younger boyish male said to the elderly Spaniard, with graying hair that was hunched over a cane. Very good, very good. You have brought more light bulbs? Sorry to disturb you, sir, but I'm KimPossible, and this is. She turned to Naruto, remembering their conversation from before. Since these were not people in Middleton, there was no secret to keep. Naruto Uzumaki. Welcome to my home. We have only just turned everything on. I am Senor Senior, and this is my son, Senor Senior Jr. Your haircut is very stylish. Senor Senior, Jr. complimented Naruto. Thanks, I guess. What is with those tight clothing? I was just going to take a quick ski down my indoor mountain. Care to join me? Senor Senior asked. No thank you, Senor. Kim started to politely decline. Some refreshment, perhaps? Oh, I have some lovely juice. Quite amazing, really. It comes in a box. A juice box would be nice, she replied, trying not to be rude to her host. Yes, sure, why not? Ron added as they were led inside the quaint-looking resort/house of the seniors. I guess what I'm saying is energy is a precious resource. It's up to each and every one of us to do our part. So a little eco-awareness might be in order here. Kim started to explain, trying not to offend the men, but at the same time trying to make him aware of the situation. Oh, I am but a simple multi-billionaire. I can't believe that what I do has any effect on anyone. The gentlemanly man responded in his kindly tone. Yeah. Your house sucks up so much power, it's causing blackouts all over Europe. And these people without power, they are inconvenienced? It was obvious that the man did not have too much experience socializing with the less than fortunate. He was the kind of old man that seemed to immerse himself in his hobbies and wasn't too well aware of the plight of the less than fortunate. Very. You see, Junior, how awful it is to be poor. But, what can I do? He asked, genuinely hoping to amend his mistake. Well, for starters, you could turn off that giant sun lamp. But if I am to be a teen pop star, I need a robust tan. Senor Senior Jr. stated in a boyish tone as his face was filled with looks of glamour. Later. Oh, I want to hear again about this low-flow showerhead. There's a ton of things you can do to make your house more efficient. House? More like a lair, Naruto said with a snort. He had seen a lot of lairs in his time. Destroyed them, sneak into them, invest money into them only to sneak in and rob said people. He could look at a place and accurately guess if it was a lair or it would someday be one. Lair? Oh, I do not like the sound of that. It's too sinister. Ha! Naruto erupted with rich laughter. This place screams sinister. It's on a private island that isn't on any map. I value my privacy, what can I tell you? The gentlemanly man responded with complete seriousness. Come on, look at all the cum. You've got doors that make the evil villain whoosh noise. He noted with a single raised finger. It was general noise used in media a lot for lairs. The whoosh noise in fact was quite universal. I always wondered about the whoosh, Senor Jr. announced. I like the whoosh. It's the door saying I am closed. Senior stated. It's fine, sir, ignore him. Kim deadpanned, wondering what point Ron or Naruto was trying to make. Oh come on Kim, don't tell me you don't think this is funny, he asked as his eyes fell upon her. An amused smile danced on his features as he continued on with his observation. I mean he's rich with his off-the-grid island. All I'm saying is that a guy could take over the world from a place like this. I mean, really, it wouldn't take much. Maybe a communications jamming system, some missiles, probably throw in some traps, self-activating lasers, an indoor lagoon full of piranha. Piranha? Why ever would I want piranha? To eat the intruders, of course, he responded with a shrug. Have to have some way to dispose of the bodies. Just put in some fluorescent, that should do the trick. Bye-bye, Kim stated, grabbing Naruto's arm and trying to lead him away. And also think about a secret underground grotto with a speedboat for escape purposes. And gigantic spinning tops of doom, they'd be huge and destroy anything in their path. The entire thing was a joke, of course, but Naruto couldn't help it when his more mischievous nature rose to the surface. Come on, Mr. Spinning Tops of Doom, I've got homework. Goodbye. And thank you, Senior said with a wave as he began pondering his thoughts. The guy with the nice haircut was an interesting fellow, was he not, father? Yes, but his ideas. I have so much money and free time I could use your hobby. A day had passed and things had returned to normal, or as normal as Middleton could be. Bye, Ron, Amelia said, waving to the blonde as he waved back and opened his locker. So Amelia, huh? Kim asked as she leaned against the locket next to his. She didn't know why she felt bothered by the fact that because of the reveal Naruto spent more time flirting with the various female populace instead of hanging out with her. It was as if his interests had done a complete 180. Not to mention he promised they would talk and he would start telling her more things about himself. What? Naruto responded with a shrug. It's been a while since I've been with someone. I miss the companionship of a good woman. Rufus's head popped out of Naruto's pants. He chittered as he traveled up Naruto's torso and launched from his shoulder into the locket. Yeah, I know, Rufus. Naruto looked to his left and right to see the hall relatively empty. Channeling some chakra, he ran a finger over his paw as a hunk of French cheese appeared. Like promise, take a bite of I forgot the name. Rufus took a few whiffs of it and pinched his nose. Pu. Kamui is it whenever I get a pet they're always so bloody picky. With that exclamation the communicator went off. Kim sighed as she went rummaging through her bag for the device. Looks like that talk was going to be put on hold for the time being. Kim, we've got trouble. Big time trouble. What's the damage, Wade? The damage is Senor Senior. Senior, I thought you said he was harmless. Yeah. Rich, but harmless. She responded nonchalantly. Senor Senior. Senior was more of the realm of a harmless old man or grandfather from her observation. Just a guy unaware he was causing any harm, so Kim didn't pay the man too much thought when she informed him to cut back on all the power draining. She took a glance back at Ron, who seemed to be chittering some sort of speech to Rufus. Sucked up all the power in Western Europe. She heard Wade exclaim, snapping her out of her thoughts. Right now she had to focus on the mission. Okay, I'll go back and make sure he turns off some of his lights. It's gonna take more than that, Kim. Senor Senior. Senior is taking Europe's power on purpose. Check this out. Wade's image was replaced by a recorded announcement of Senor Senior. My evil vow is this. I will send Europe back into the Dark Ages unless the Euro Alliance gives me. He paused and then menacingly said. They're nice little islands. Nice. Little. Islands? With the warm beach days and hot disco nights. They are obviously new at the big-time villain thing. Kim shot a look at Naruto, who was snickering. What? You can't tell me the nice little islands wasn't funny? Naruto, he's threatening to steal the power of an entire continent. Can you be serious for a moment? She asked as the smirk on Naruto's face melted away. Lighten up, Kim. He's just an old man and not that much of a threat. We'll be in and out. 2 hours top, not including the plane ride. A cold chill down Kim's spine, how he could go from goofy and carefree to serious and no-nonsense in a mere instant. His eyes were just so sharp-looking and unnerving. Why are you just standing there? Are we getting ready to go or not? Right. She stuttered in response to his tone. For some strange reason, Naruto unnerved. Back in Europe, the Eiffel Tower and the area around it goes off, a clock tower goes off, the lights go off, and a sea beep with a couple on a boat. On Senior's Island, Senior was reading a book titled The Book of Evil. Evil chuttle, no, not for me. Ah, the evil snicker. He snickers, then closed the book. Alright, that will do for now. He decided as he turned to his son, who was text messaging on his new phone. Junior, any word from the Euro Alliance? Somebody called, I don't know who. He responded as another text came in. She didn't? He seemed to mumble as he went right back to his phone conversation. Did you think to take a message? The elder senior asked in mild annoyance at his son's lack of proper villainy enthusiasm. I did not. I'm not your message-taking person. If you want your own island, you will think to take a message. Senior activated a monitoring screen as an image of Kim and Ron are in scuba gear appeared. Look, Naruto Uzumaki returns. I wonder if he has any more ideas? The older senior muses to himself. The two of them arrived on the island and were met with a massive wall. It's only been a bloody day, Naruto exclaimed in disbelief. How the hell could he have done all this? It wouldn't have been a problem if you didn't give him the ideas. Kim responded in annoyance, knowing that thanks to Naruto's joking they would have to respond their discussion and would now have to record the new episode of Chuck on DVR while she did homework when they got back. Oh, for heaven's sake, Kim, you know I was joking, he said nonchalantly as he took a step forward without taking notice of the defense systems activating. Get down! She cried out as she pushed Naruto down to the ground as a missile shot down from a launcher, narrowly missing them. Oh, good missiles. I am so glad you told him to get missiles, she added, looking down at the blonde who was smirking at her. Why, Miss Possible? I didn't think you would be the one to make the first move, he said with a cheeky grin. It took Kim a moment to realize what he meant when she looked down and noticed she was straddling him and had his arms pinned. Not so uncharacteristically considering her awkwardness when dealing with boys, cried out, and hopped up as her face visibly burned with embarrassment. When I was enjoying that too, Naruto said with a pout as he dusted himself off. Maybe you were too, seeing as how red you are. Just focus on the mission, she retorted in annoyance as she began searching for her grappling hook, only realizing she left it in her locket. Damn, she silently thought / slipped when she realized she had no way on scaling the wall. I left my grappling hook back at school. No problem. One kick-ass wall's calling coming up. Hanga! Kim cried out as Naruto scooped her up in his arms. He got a running start and leaped towards the wall. With a thump he landed on the wall, his feet sticking to it with chakra. A warning could have been nice? I found it kind of hard over the screaming, he simply stated as Kim found herself blushing once more. Well, excuse me for reacting to crazy stunt you pulled. I thought you were going to attempt to jump over or maybe to the top of the wall, not stick to the halfway point. Hey, I'm a shinobi. I'm full of surprises. Reaching the top, he dropped over the other side and landed with ease. That wasn't so bad now, was it? Like I said, a warning next time would be nice. Let's go. Breaking into a dash, they continued further into the compound until they came across a huge power cord. Damn! A cord that size, one could see how those massive blackouts are occurring. Come on, let's get this settled. How are you planning on getting inside? The door. She answered his question as she knocked on the door. Senior, open up. The door opens in response. The duo then walked in and were greeted by the seniors. KimPossible, my feisty teen. Hey, you put in a lagoon, Naruto noted in a mixture of surprise and amusement. The piranha won't be here till Monday, but I assure you, the koi have not been fed in days. Holding up the book he was reading earlier, he continued his explanation. I ordered this book on world domination off the internet. It said you'd be coming back. Well, every day something in this world occurs that blows my mind about what's sensible, and what shouldn't be practical but is. Have you gotten to the chapter where you give yourself up? No, actually, I'm up to the part where I tell you that it is too late for you to stop my evil plan. Oh really? Ron asked, pulling a kunai from the kunai pouch on his leg and throwing it. It didn't go no further than 10 feet before it was zapped by a laser. I'll give him this. He's a terrific listener. The two of them retreated behind a hall as the lasers began firing. Senior is really starting to get on my nerves. Yeah, but he's nowhere near as annoying as that Draken guy. He only gets points for having enough sense for hiring that Shego woman though. And man, isn't she sexy in that little outfit of hers. That long raven hair and exotic skin. Oh! He cried out as his descriptions was interrupted by Kim smacking him. Focus on the mission, will you? I take it the angry face is because I'm describing how sexy your rival is, huh? Could you possibly get any more? She tried to think of a word to describe the blonde. Can't come up with anything, huh? He asked with a smirk. Shut up. KimPossible, here's a good target, Middleton. I'm going to attack your hometown. Junior, go to the tower and activate the missiles. Oh, now I'm your missile launching person too? Junior whined as he ran outside. I'll take care of the pretty boy and let you handle the old man, Naruto said as a chakra flash radiated from him. Ron had disappeared and in his place was Naruto. With ease, Naruto dodged laser blast after blast. Leaping over the wall, he shot over the lagoon. With similar ease, Kim also dodged the lasers but maneuvered in a way where they destroyed each other. Oh, you think you're out of trouble? Well, you're not out of trouble. Farewell, KimPossible. And from a wall, giant spinning tops were launched. Naruto, you are so paying for this, she silently declared. Meanwhile, by the missile launching console. Why do I have to launch his stupid missiles? Step away from the console. Or step away from your bossy attitude. You think just because you're so nicely dressed. I didn't want to have to do this, but if I have to. Naruto reached inside his pocket. Behold the most dangerous weapon in my arsenal. A picture of one of my friend's mother-in-law. Ah! Junior cried out as he fell back and got into the fetal position. Stomach fat. Didn't think that work. Naruto went about disarming the missiles. Ah yes! Once more, superior intelligence allowed me to easily do something my kick-ass powers could have done just as well, but I was too lazy to use. Now to go check back on Kim. Naruto shoo-shined back into the lair. Ah! Kim screamed as she was running away from the giant spinning top. Oh, for the love of Naruto extended his hand and formed a Rasengan. Charging forward, he reared his hand and thrust it forward. The ball of chakra connected with the giant top, halting it in its track. Halting it in its track, a second top collided with the halted top, causing them both to shot back. Colliding into the wall, they rolled about once more on their sides before stopping. Thanks. But never tell anyone to go out and buy spinning tops of doom. Fair enough. The Triple SS managed to have escaped during the confusion. He and his semi-disturbed son escape on a speedboat. Secret grotto and a speedboat. Great for escapes. Kim commented with a sigh. Well, hey, look on the bright side, we saved the day. Something was telling him this was something Kim was not going to let him forget for a long time. MADDOG. That's how we spell victory. Go, mad dogs. Go, mad dogs. Go, mad dogs. Go, mad dogs. The cheerleaders cheered as they finished another practice. It was after school, so the cheerleaders had the gym to themselves. We're number 1. Okay. Great practice, team. Kim announced as practice came to an end and she dismissed the team. Kim, can we chat? Bonnie asked, calling her to the side. Sure, Bonnie. I have time for anyone on the squad. What's your ish? She asked, wondering just what scheme Bonnie was up to now. For the past few years the girls had an escalating rivalry that was well known. Well, it's really your ish. You seem tired, she stated with fake concern. If there was one thing Bonnie prided on, it was her ability to act. Something she developed during the not-so-stellar events concerning her family. I did fly in from Abu Dhabi this morning. Rescued an ambassador. Replied nonchalantly as if it was an everyday occurrence. Which is nice, the brown-haired girl was unable to respond to that. To be honest, it did grate on her nerves how Kim was able to do mind-boggling things as a teenager, and then acted like it wasn't a big deal. It was indeed a very big freaking deal being not even 16 yet rescuing diplomats. Of course, when Bonnie voiced the absurdness of the situation, she was ignored. So she was forced to accept that yet again everyone was impressed by yet another thing Kim could do. The thoughts were buried as she went back to focusing on her latest SCHR idea. But you gotta ask yourself, did you give the squad 110% today? 120%, Bonnie. Kim responded, growing a little suspicious about Bonnie's intent. I happen to think the squad deserves a captain who gives 130. Someone like? She inquired, though she already knew who was going to be suggested. Me, Bonnie finished. Look, if you want to make a play for captain, take it to the squad. If they want Bonnie instead of Kim, super for Bonnie, Kim stated as she walked off. Some time had passed, and she got dressed and met with Naruto. They then arrived at Bueno Nacho, a Mexican-themed restaurant, and a hot spot for Middleton teenagers who enjoyed Mexican foods and one of their usual hunts. When Naruto was trapped in the person of Ran, he developed a love for Mexican food as his preferred favorite. After all, just because he loved ramen didn't mean it was the only thing he ate. Which was something both he and Anko hated. People thought they only ate ramen and dango respectively. Especially considering the former didn't have a bijou-compliant metabolism, so she couldn't just eat just one of the same thing without there being adverse effects on the body. I can't believe this, Kim had exclaimed at the end of her rant. Naruto responded while Rufus cooed followed with a yawn. Hey Rufus, I need an B Pisces of this burrito stat. I think they may be cutting back on the beans. The cheap bastards. Yum, the naked mole rat said, licking his lips and patting his stomach. Nothing invasive, just take a look around. I want a cheese-bean ratio. Ro Naruto, have you been listening to a word I've said? The redhead responded in annoyance, finding herself slipping up sometimes. She was just used to calling him that. It was kind of hard to call someone a completely different name when it's become part of your dialogue over the past 10 years. Bonnie had the nerve to challenge me, after all I'd done for the squad? After all I'd done for her? I can't believe this, he quoted word for word. Kim's only response was to take a sip from her cola. Rufus burps after quickly devouring the burrito. Hey! The blonde cried out upon noticing his empty plate. Bonnie's just wasting her time. She doesn't stand a chance, Kim responded with a confident smirk. Then why are you complaining about it? He asked as they finished up and exited the Mexican-themed restaurant. I don't know, I just feel like she's up to something. I swear this rivalry you two have going on is a bit annoying, Naruto shook his head. Can't you two come together and agree to disagree about things? And where's this coming from so suddenly? Kim asked, a bit miffed. You're too used to Ron going with whatever you said. I'm in my right mind again, Kim. Like I said, I'm still your friend, but doesn't mean I'm going to be a good little lapdog. If I feel you're wrong about something, I'm going to tell you about it. Suddenly a hole opened up in the ground and Kim shrieked as she disappeared under. Kim was sent for a ride through a series of turns and jerks in a tub until finally after a minute reached her stop. Let me out! Let me out! She screamed as she pounded on the tub. The door opened as she fell to the ground. Okay, what's the sitch? She asked as she was helped up by a much older woman. She was wearing a dark blue uniform with short dark haircut just down to her neck and eye patch over left eye. Not to mention her body was a vision of loveliness with its near hourglass-like shape, which in conjunction with her dark eyes, hair, and full lips, the woman in words could easily be described as a fine wine with which only gets that fine when smoothly crafted with age. KimPossible. Welcome. The woman greeted. Welcome to where? Kim demanded, trying to keep the fear out of her voice. To the Global Justice Network, the woman said as Kim gazed about the massive headquarters. There were several professional dressed individuals working on computers. People going in and out of the tubes, scientists carrying clipboards and talking about classified material, and many other operations one would expect occur in high-class government-sanctioned organization. GJ? No way! Kim exclaimed in awe. She had heard rumors of the international organization from a few of the maniacs she and Naruto had tangled with. Affirmative way. I'm Dr. Director, head of GJ. The sound of hissing from one of the elevators echoed as a tan-skinned young male with brown hair stepped out. He seemed to roughly the same shape of what she remembered of the physical form Ron had, except being in shape except of chubby, but roughly the same height. This is will do, our number 1 agent. Follow me, she ordered, leading Kim to a conference room. Upon large 3 viewing screens was a Caucasian male, with blonde hair, and glasses, wearing a brown business suit. This is Professor Sylvan Green. In the 1960s, he developed a top-secret missile defense project. The Sirenita guided missile tracking system, Kim stated with absolute certainty. Where did you get that information? Off the web, the cheerleader stated offhandedly. Oh, the director responded and cleared her throat. This is Professor Green, currently retired. Place of residence, Florida. And now he's disappeared, Kim guessed. Yes. Was that on the internet too? The director sarcastically asked. No, that was a guess. Kim, what would you say to helping Agent Do find Green? The director asked her. Does Agent Do talk? 14 languages, 32 regional dialects, he answered, finally speaking up. That's cool. I'm taking French. This is a ferociously bad time for me. There's this girl at school, a major, all that type, and really. Dr. Director. Permission to speak freely. Will do, spoke up, interrupting Kim. Granted. This is an insult. I am a highly trained professional. She's an amateur. Okay, I'm in. The cheerleader exclaimed, quite miffed. She wasn't going to let some hotshot get away with calling her an amateur. KimPossible, Agent Do, good luck. An hour later, Kim had returned and met Naruto back at the school. I was concerned there for a second, KP. I searched all over for you. The Korean restaurant, the soul food restaurant, and that new Italian restaurant, and I couldn't find you. And you came to conclusion I was at a restaurant because? She asked with a raised eyebrow. The blonde replied and said, well, I was still hungry, so. We had just left Buenco Nacho. My metabolism is rather high. I mean, come on, all that junk food and only a moderate pudge? Most people would have been pushing overweight at that time. So want to explain what happened? By the end of the explanation, Naruto was stumped. So this organization, who has apparently been monitoring you for who knows how long, just for all we know, illegally recruited you for a mission of vast importance without really explaining anything, and with you going along with it without any questions. Kim wasn't sure what to make of most of the feelings she was feeling right now. It was starting to feel like that almost every decision she was making was a mistake in the blonde's eyes. Miss Possible, are you ready to assist me in my investigation? Agent Do make his presence known. Assist you? No. Work with you as an equal, yeah? So this is the guy you're supposed to be working with? Naruto gave him a glance over and wasn't all that impressed. Will pressed a button on his stopwatch that launched out a tag that zapped Ran and causing him to fall over. What did you do to him? Kim demanded in outrage at the prospect of her friend being hurt. Stopwatch. Temporary paralysis. Standard procedure for anyone who comes within 1 meter of him. Before he could finish, the shinobi hopped up to his feet and rammed his fist into the man's face, causing him to slam on the ground. Before he could get up, Naruto pressed his foot against the man's throat. Never do that again. You won't get off so easy next time. Wait, Naruto, calm down. I'm sure her voice died in her throat when she saw the sharpness in Naruto's eyes. It was the same sharpness as that day. It took everything Kim had to turn a blind eye on that day. To the knowledge that Naruto had killed 2 people and possibly more. She kept reminding herself, concluding that everything that he told her was the truth, and those 2 men who were assassins wouldn't stop until he and those around him were dead, and there was no prison or facility on this planet that could contain them. But if any more incidents would occur, she would try to prevent any more resolutions such as this. She was a crime fighter, a heroine, and heroes didn't kill. Hey Rufus, you okay? Naruto asked the semi-conscious mole rat that jabbered in pain. I am a GJ agent. I can have you brought on charges for assault, the men cried out in outrage as he massaged his throat. And I can countersue and have you brought up on charges for brutality and cruel and unusual punishment, or attempted murder. He snapped before his demeanor suddenly changed. Just go on ahead without me. I need a moment to calm down before I do something I highly doubt I'd regret. Damn emotional state. Naruto needed a moment or 2 to calm down, and to his surprise he ended up running into Bonnie of all people. Hey there, Bonnie, he said cheerfully as his eyes fell upon the chocolate box. Oh, Stoppable, she responded with a bit of uncertainty. Ever since the big reveal that the Ran was a lazy, uncool slacker, who could barely get straight C's, but in fact an intelligent and powerful former assassin, she was unsure how to act around him. She certainly couldn't go back to treating him like trash since he was leisurely dispelling his charade. Wow, those are really nice, he suddenly said as his eyes gazed down to her cleavage. He said as her head snapped up. What? She cried out as a scowl threatened to form on her face. It figures, shinobi or not, that Uzumaki or whoever he was a pervert like all the other males, and though this thought was cut off by the following statement. The chocolate. Can I buy some? Bonnie calmed her head. She had something she had to do and couldn't waste time with the assassin despite how dreamy his blue eyes were. Wait. Blue? It's probably one of your plans to get one over on Kim, huh? I don't see why you girls can't just work something out. Tell that to Miss Perfect, the brunette snapped. I'm sensing some hostility here. I don't why you're bothering asking Blondie. You've been her friend with over a decade. You've always listened to her side of things. Then let me fix that, the blonde said, taking out a kunai from his pocket. Bonnie immediately began to freak out when she saw it. No, wait. I'm sorry. Please don't kill me, she cried out, taking a step back and preparing to run. Naruto's eyes widened. I'm not Bonnie. Why would you think that? Beauty killed those ninja guys, and she started to stutter. Now normally Bonnie was a calm and collected girl. She could be cruel, cold, and calculating because it was the only way she knew how to survive. The only way she could gain acknowledgement and respect from her father, which hardly seemed to be any at all. After all, he had his precious Lonnie and Connie after all. Now why would you even think I would hurt you like that, little bonbon? You're one of my favorite girls after all, he said with a teasing grin as she glowered at him. Damn her mother, and publicly using that embarrassing nickname. Cutting his finger, Naruto used his blood to create a copy of himself and sent it off to go aid Kim on the mission. What in the world was that? A wide-eyed Bonnie asked. I created a clone out of my blood. A blood clone. Just like that? You don't care that I know? That the whole squad knows these things about you. Bonnie thought ninja were all about keeping secrets. In all honesty, not really. Nothing you all know can be used against me. The only thing I need to safeguard are my techniques, and besides, I know it sounds arrogant, but no one in this world, individual or organization, is a threat to me, Bonnie. I can literally become my own army if I want to. Hell, after all these years, the only person who might warrant me to actual treat with any sort of seriousness is Shego, and Kim herself holds her own against her. I'm in a world deprived of chakra, and the majority of the world are civilians. What can any of them do with the knowledge of who I am? Especially since chakra can't be replicated without my help. Unless the threat is off-world, I can spill just about anything, but it doesn't affect me. Bonnie was jealous. That kind of freedom and strength. What she wouldn't give for it. But enough about that. How about you join me for an early dinner? Why not? I get to know the real Bonnie Rockwaller, and you get to know me as Naruto Uzumaki. Besides, I always wanted to go to 5-star restaurant, but Kim and I have been busy with missions lately. Wait. What 5-star restaurant? The actual 5-star restaurant. You mean the Chinese 5-star restaurant? You need to call in advance. Hell, you have to call to see when you can check in for advance to get a table. Already done. No way. There's no way you could have had this planned, she further exclaimed. I'm a shinobi bonbon. Planning is what I do. So I'll pick you around 6? You have a car? Her voice grew an even higher octave as she continued to be hit with surprise after surprise. Yeah, 612 Scaglietti 60 black Ferrari. Thankfully, as Ron, I had a tendency to collect trinkets from missions. I've sold them a few days ago and got a car. I even went and got a license and such. Okay, Stoppable, I'll bite. Naruto wagged his fingers. Uzumaki bonbon. While it's just us in private, refer to me as Naruto. If you be a nice girl, I might give you something nice from my era. I believe I have a nice little necklace with her name on it. Bonnie's eyes lit up at being gifting with ancient and lavish jewelry. I guess I'll see you then, steamy Naruto. She corrected herself. Whoa, hold on a second. Now about that chocolate? Is that peanut butter I smell? At the Possible household. Hi, Kimmy. Who's your new friend? Mrs. Dr. Possible greeted her doctor as she noticed the stranger in her home. Agent will do, ma'am. It's an honor to meet you, Dr. Possible. You know me? She responded, surprised. Your recent paper on the application of lasers and subcranial exploration was fascinating. And the photograph did not do you justice. Invite him over more often, she whispered to her daughter. Like any woman of advanced yet still very young age, she enjoyed being complimented. Something she wished her husband had did more often instead of threatening to send boys in the black holes. There was a reason why the paper boy never came around anymore. For heaven's sake, the boy in question was 10 and had a small crush at 10, and it was more innocent than most notable examples. Then again, maybe coming home and smelling off blood and brain matter could be a slight turn-off. Mom, I've got to find a missing scientist. Good luck, Kimmy. Have fun, kids, she said, leaving the room as she went to buy a new black dress in hopes to seduce her husband and unwind a bit. Maybe even purchase some Marvin Gaye CDs and the required items for Jello shots. Wade, did you get the data? She asked as the communicator beeped and Wade's holographic image came to life. Got it. A holographic simulation of the missing professor's home. Cool. He's gone 3D. He said with a gasp. I already examined the crime scene. I haven't. Wade, enlarge the point of entry, she said as the image of the times screen enlarged. Explosive method of entry. What's that? Can't tell. I'll isolate and enlarge. Good, now let's try to fill in the blanks. Running extrapolation routine. A golf ball? Ron spoke up, his confusion and disbelief evident in his question. Professor Green was retired. Many retired people golf. The chubby thief highlighted the obvious. Wade, does Professor Green show up in any online discussion groups? Oh, yeah? Gardening, botany, experimental fertilizers. His lawn won the Bluegrass Ribbon 3 years in a row. Goodbye, Wade. She let out a sigh. This is pointless. The man was obviously captured for his weapons system expertise. He was a weapons expert in the 60s. You can look up what he knows in the library. Working with an amateur is clearly a waste of my time, the snooty agent replied snibbily. I haven't even told you about the other trace element I detected at the scene. What is it? Hyperactic acid, an experimental fertilizer. Black market only. Sounds like we need to visit the world headquarters for black market gardening supplies, Ron concluded. Which would be where? Nightfall soon followed when they figured out where to go. With Naruto. Bonnie was a bit skeptical at first about agreeing to this date, but decided to go out with Naruto anyway. So like any special occasion, she dressed to impress. She wore a stylish and comfortable-looking light blue top and a pleated dark green skirt which was a bit more modest than some or her usual ensembles. Naruto had showed up in his Ferrari right on time and came to her door. Alternatively, she would have preferred if he was more like one of her usual jock dates in which they would beep the horn and tell her to hop in. But no, he just had to knock on her door and once again meet her mother, where she gushed over them and insisted on taking pictures much to her embarrassment. Finally they arrived at the restaurant at which Naruto chatted up the receptionist, and which Bonnie assumed was Chinese or maybe Japanese. She was unsure. Either way, they were soon seated. I still can't believe this. This whole time you were this amazing guy and hid under the charade of a grade D loser. Why? Bonnie asked as Naruto set aside the drink menu. It wasn't by choice, Bonnie. I compressed the details for you. I was at this gathering of special individuals like me and there was attack. One of those attacks, well, they did that to me. They damaged my brain and it took a rather violent explosion that occurred on a mission to reboot my mind, so to speak. The last few months I've been trying to get my mind and my body back into condition, but it's going to take time. But all in all, the injury was why I became Stoppable, the Type B person to Kim's Type A. Type B? Goofy and cheerful sidekick that's generally a kind-hearted person who is the backup to the strong and courageous leader type. Basically, I kept her from becoming too big-headed and help her accept that she didn't need to be perfect to be loved. Though hearing and seeing your bitter rivalry in action with my vision now clear, I mustn't have done that good of a job. Would you have kept this up? If your secret was never blown, I mean. Probably. I mean, eventually I would have assumed a new identity, but it feels nice to be generally loved and wanted by family and family-like figures. It took me years to earn that in my old life, and suffice to say, even if it wasn't mine per se, I'm glad I finally did get a chance at a childhood. In my other one, I was trying to get people to recognize that I had a right to exist, and trained from age 7 to be an assassin that would give my life to the village at the drop of the hat. When he finished, he noticed Bonnie's shift uncomfortably. You feel horrible, don't you? Like an ass, she admitted after a long bout of silence. You can talk to me, Bonnie. You can open up to me and tell me anything. I won't hurt or judge you. After how I've been treating you all this time? How can I trust you won't use the opportunity to try to hurt me? She asked, still a bit suspicious on the blonde's motive. You just have to trust me. I'm just trying to be your friend, that's all. You take all your friends to an expensive 5-star restaurants? Okay, I admit you have me there, but it's not that big of a deal. Bonnie snorted at this statement. You had enough to get a Ferrari. Hey, what man doesn't like a nice car? The conversation simmered down quite as the waiter arrived to take their order. Bonnie ordered the chicken with almond and diced vegetable, while Naruto had the sweet and sour spare ribs. Much to Naruto's prodding until it got on Bonnie's nerves, she agreed to try some mint tea to go along with her meal and was pleasantly surprised by how good it was. Anyway, I have an ulterior motive for asking you to join me, Naruto suddenly spoke, finishing up his tea. I knew it. So what's your game? Why are you so damn paranoid? Is this because I'm a shinobi? Partly but mostly because I'm a guy. Naruto finished as Bonnie firmly nodded. Bonnie certainly was having quite a few odd moments this evening. I actually wanted to talk about Terra. Terra? What about her? The brunette began rather defensively. Shinobi or not, if you plan on doing something to her, you better think again. The fact she was trying to stand up to him on her friend's half was rather endearing. Actually, I was considering asking her out. Wait. What? Bonnie responded, surprised. Well, she's nice, attractive, and a kind person. Also, she's the only girl, if you exclude Kim and Monique, who actually really liked me when I was Ron. So as her very protective best friend, I figure you could give me a few pointers? Since you're best friend and I'm sure she listens to you, that she would want your opinion on the matter. Huh, that's funny. Weren't you getting cozy with Amelia a few days ago? Who? The senior. Oh, her. Amelia and I are friends. There is a mutual attraction, but we don't know each other enough to justify a relationship. You know, as Terra's best friend, I strictly critique any potential boyfriends. And how am I sure you won't toy with her heart? Everyone knew you for someone else for so long, and now the potential for disaster around you is huge. It could be dangerous for her. If there is anyone who can protect her, Bonnie, it's me. I saved the entire cheerleading squad from a psychotic fish-human mutant and 2 old enemies with abilities similar to mine. I didn't have to reveal what I did, Bonnie. There are ways I could have made you all forget. Bonnie paled at the implication of his words. But I didn't, because I like to believe you're all good people. I just want a chance to prove that. She wasn't sure to say after that. Check, please, he interrupted. After the check was brought, and Naruto paid for it, and silently escorted Bonnie to the car. Bonnie wanted to say something, but words of her father echoed through her mind. You are a rockwaller, Bonnie. Rockwallers are sophisticated and better than the common man. We are above the lazy and slob trife that drag our society down. Sympathy and kindness are for the weak. Bonnie, Naruto spoke up as she was brought from her thoughts. I know you aren't as cold as you portray. And how do you figure? In order to survive, a shinobi has to be able to read people. One wrong signal is the difference between life and death. And I hate to see you go down the wrong path. You're an attractive young woman who will only grow more beautiful in time. You keep on the way you're going and you'll definitely become an ice queen. You keep this up and you'll discover what it really means to be a queen bee of the school. Girls hating you behind your back and making up rumors only to flash a false smile in your presence, and guys lining up to see who's the first to unwrap the prize, so to speak. Naruto explained as he stopped in front of the Rockwaller estate. Getting out, he opened Bonnie's door. Thank you, I had a great time. Yeah, it was refreshing to say the least. We didn't get to talk and get to know each other like how I wanted, but maybe another time. Yeah, maybe about Terra. Hold on a second, Bonnie said as she slipped into her house. A few minutes later she returned with a slip of paper. Terra's number, and remember. I know, trust me. I won't try to hurt her, I promise. Good night. Yeah, good night. As Bonnie closed the door, she thought about this newfound feeling flowing through her. Naruto had opened a new perspective to the brunette. She was beginning to wonder what she would have done if he had a life like his, and what she would have done. Meanwhile, Naruto was driving his car and dialed the number on the slip. Hello, is this Terra? Who is it? A female voice replied on the other end of the line. It's Naruto, or maybe you know me better as Ron. Ron. Tara squealed into the phone before she prattled like rapid gunfire. Oh my gosh, you sound so different, your voice is deeper for some reason. Or is that how you really sound like? So what's up? Why are you calling? Hey Tara. Sorry if I disturbed you. I didn't disturb you, did I? No, not at all. So, how did you get my number? Bonnie gave it to me. Bonnie? As in Bonnie Rockwaller? Yes, the one that goes to our school and is on the cheerleading squad before you ask. Listen, I wanted to ask you something. Are you doing anything tomorrow after school? With Kim. Things had been interesting on the other side. First, they had tracked down a man known as Big Daddy Brotherson who handled a lot of illegal deals. Will was being an ass and was booted by the large man who had a weakness for chocolate milk with chewy nougat. With that, they learned of the man, Duff Killigan from Scotsman, and golf player was their man. They arrived on Killigan's island, and for the life of the blonde he couldn't figure out how these psychopaths got their own islands and stuff. He wondered who sold them this equipment? Why wasn't the government more vigilant? And if these people keep trying to take over a world, why not just put a bullet between their eyes? That seemed so much simpler. Eventually they had found Professor Green, who was apparently trapped in his own super fast-growing grass. One that Killigan wanted to do was cover the world in grass to create one giant golf course. It didn't take long to defeat the obviously insane man whose weapons included exploding golf balls and golf clubs. Can you believe the nerve of that guy? He won't even consider someone else deserves some credit. Maybe somebody else is as good as him. Kim had ranted after Will listed off Kim as assistants when she did most of the heavy lifting and had most of the good ideas. Just as good? Maybe better. Yes, Kim exclaimed in response to Naruto's statement. Just let it go, he told her. You could have helped more, you know. She suddenly rounded on the blonde. I could have, but you seem to have been handling things. Anyway, let's head back home, Naruto suggested as Kim took out the communicator to contact someone with transportation that owed them a favor. In a place known as Middleton, possibly in Colorado, there was a young girl, one who was known to be able to do anything. She had long auburn-shaped hair that looked like it formed a hair when viewed from behind, piercing emerald eyes, soft lips, and a charming nose. From afar she looked thin, but upon closer inspection one could see she was quite athletically built that complemented her slender form. A practitioner of 16 styles of martial arts and teenage hero who saved countless lives defied the impossible nearly every day, which all started by a slight error in which she was contacted instead of the famed super team, Team Impossible. Besides the awkward teen crushes and other dilemmas of adolescence, her life was marginally perfect. Loving and caring parents, despite a slightly overprotective father, beauty, recognition, and good friends, along with an exciting lifestyle. Though everything changed when the identity of her best friend came into question. Ronald Dean Stoppable, or who he was once known as. Ronald was a chubby teen with messy blonde and average brown eyes. He was known as the guy who always lost his pants with a naked mole rat for a pet and love for junk food and gaming. He wasn't a fast learner, but he kind and dependable. That was until his identity was exposed. Uzumaki Naruto, shinobi, hero from another world. Athletic, lean, and able to do the impossible. Formerly an amnesiac being raised by a well-meaning but often forgetful Jewish couple, he was now trying to adapt to his new life now that his memory was restored. Because of some legal loopholes that the possible duo were exploiting due to career of the illustrious Team Go, a group of famous super-powered heroes, the law allowed underage crime fighting of exceptional use provided they had parental consent and went through the proper government channels. Normally such a thing was impossible if not for that faithful mission that Kim and then Ron/Naruto had taken when they were 13, when Kim was contacted mistakenly instead of another famous group known as Team Impossible. Though at the moment a big transitioning period was occurring, and that started to put doubts in Kim's head. It began to hurt when she thought about such things. That awkward first kiss they shared, how she felt right for her to ask him to kiss her to take away the awkwardness, and how it would always remain special. The idea of being something more had crossed her mind several times, but so did the strange sensation that followed the thoughts as she considered round family. The thoughts that had recently started added much confusion when hormones was added to the equation. She thought they could trust anything with each other, that there was supposed to be no secrets between them. Hell, on more than one occasion they had to share a sleeping bag and nothing but their underwear in more than one occasion. That's just how high the trust was supposed to be between them. Kim's thoughts were interrupted by Barkin speaking. Listen up, people. Time has come to choose Middleton High's new student government. Class president is a magnificent burden, an excruciating opportunity. Now, let's have some nominations for this glorious, thankless task. Several students were snoring at this declaration. The chatter of students whispering to each other and giggling girls sharing the news said gossip was a common sight in classroom. Some students found the ground interesting, but in truth they were sending text messages. It's a democracy, people. Now do as I say. Let's hear some nominations. Huh! Responded in confusion, obviously just as uncaring as the majority of the students. Mr. Barkin, from the great state of confusion, I am proud to nominate our next class president, KimPossible. Second. Rufus squeaked. Done and done, KP? Naruto stated rather proudly as he sat back in his seat. What was up with before? I thought you were trying to improve your image and change what people thought of you. It annoyed Kim that the blonde seemed to flip-flop from one extreme to the next. I was bored and having some fun. I'm a trickster. That's what I do, he responded with a cheeky grin. Challengers? Barkin barked out. I nominate Brick Flag. Kim's cheerleading rival Bonnie nominated. What? Both Kim and Brick echoed out in surprise. The cheerleader versus the quarterback classic. Don't worry, KP, Naruto said, placing a comforting hand on the cheerleader's shoulder. Brick Flag may be the most popular jock in school, but you have something he doesn't. You've got me as your campaign manager. The two had soon found themselves in a mini-golf course trying to enjoy the rest of their day. Imagine the ball going not only into the Eiffel Tower, but through it. He finished with hand gestures. What is this to do with my campaign? Bonnie's probably painted dozens of pick brick posters by now. To be honest, I wanted to try some mini-golf. Besides, you're a teenager, so you should be doing things teenagers do. Run for class president, play games, and stuff like that. Besides, this bit of experience can help you in the future. I don't care about big political deals. I want to help people. Come on, Naruto, could you know a bit more serious? He could be difficult to figure out at times. He was no longer the Ron who feared a lot of things in this world. Though now she understood why, or she should say how he was able to keep up with her on dangerous missions and kept on going despite the situations initiated would be beyond the handling of normal teenagers. He was a trained assassin, a murderer. Kim tried to push the thought out of her mind, to keep justifying that Naruto had to do what he had to do. That his opponents were also trained assassins and that the normal means of containing criminals wouldn't work on shinobi, or at least that's what he told her. The ability to turn invisible, control the elements, and transport Onwa wasn't something that was mainstream by even the A-list villains. Kim, just relax. Enjoy your life a little. Not everything is a mission. Enjoy it while you can. Naruto, please. We really need to talk. All right, he responded as his expression turned serious. He noticed that something was bothering Kim. I guess there's no avoiding it now. Where do you want to begin? The beep of the communicator interrupted them before they could begin their discussion. Kim huffed in annoyance and then pulled it out. What's the sitch, Wade? We got a hit from the Majesty King Wallace. Kim let out a sigh. I have no idea who that is, Wade, she said, beckoning him to give more information. He rules a tiny European nation which size is smaller than the average mall, Naruto answered to their surprise. It took Kim a moment to gather her thoughts. She was still trying to get used to the fact there were things about Naruto that she still had to learn. How'd you know? Wade voiced his surprise. I've been brushing up on a few subjects, Wade. About the mission? Kim observed this. Ron would have made a funny inquiry, joke, or inaccurate misinformation about the subject. She sighed as she once more brought up the thought of the old Ron. Right, anyway, King Wallace, he has a son, Prince Wally, who needs your help. Following Wade's coordinates, they arrived at the airport where a private royal jet was waiting for them. After getting on the private jet and traveling to Eastern Europe, they were driven to a castle by limousine. What's up, homie Holmes? I'm your main dude, brother man and such. A fancy private school dress looking boy. Ah, hello. I'm Kim and this is Naruto. She introduced the blonde who found the sky interesting at that moment. Hold that thought. If you could sidestep just a smidgen, sun in my eyes. Naruto shook his head and sighed. It was going to be one of those mission. Wait a second, Wally? Royal Highness. He snootily responded. Couldn't you just move over a few inches, Royal Highness? If I fancied to move, I suppose I could. He once more responded in a flippant manner. But you don't fancy? The blonde dryly replied. I haven't given it much thought, have I? Suddenly, out of nowhere, rich fanfare began blaring as the regal-looking king stepped into the courtyard, complete with mustache and graying hair. Daddy? King Wallace? KimPossible! He exclaimed and chuckled. Welcome to our kingdom. Hello, Your Majesty. We're here to solve your problem. You must be Wade, the super genius who runs Kim's website. No, my name is Naruto, formerly known as Ron Stoppable's sidekick. He begrudgingly admitted. After all, that's what his M.O. had been the longest time. Oh, I've never heard of you. Right. That because I prefer to, work behind the scenes. I do all the important. Before he could continue, he was interrupted as the king started speaking to Kim. Miss Possible, could I speak to you privately? The king asked, dismissing Naruto entirely. Sure. Not like the team is a, team. Excuse me, Don, but I really need to speak to Miss Possible alone, he said, leading Kim away. Naruto didn't bother to correct him. It was funny how he was the one with the reputation of sidekick. Hell, even when he was Ron, he was the one always disabling the doomsday devices and blowing up the lairs, while all Kim did was fight the goons or hired hands. Meanwhile, the king was explaining the situation to Kim. So, what's this all about, Your Majesty? I have a problem. A terrible, ancient problem. Ancient? It all started centuries ago with our first king. Unfortunately, my ancestor ruled the kingdom with cruel arrogance. Please, Highness. My entire flock ran away and I need a few days to pay my taxes. The bald peasant cried to the rather obese old king of that time period, who wore a mixture of blue and gold clothing along with a tiny crown. The king belches. Cry me a moat. Off to the tower with you. He was despised by his subjects, particularly his own knights, the Knights of Rodhan. Generic knights wearing bulky silver armor and red feathers that hardly made them stand against the design of past knights throughout the years. They were determined to dethrone him. Secret plans were drafted, but they failed. Their grudge was passed down from generation to generation. Even today, descendants of the knights are still plotting to end the royal lineage. If your royal family has been okay for all these generations, what's the problem now? You've met my son, Weak Link Wally, as the press has so cruelly dubbed him. The way the king addressed his son, it was apparent to even him his son's faults. Oh yeah? I just can't believe that there are knights in this day and age. Oh, they're quite modern. They have a website. A website? They have embraced the 21st century. They are more determined than ever to abolish the monarchy. Well, no offense, Your Majesty, but how do you know that this website is really run by these knights? It could be hackers playing a prank. No. I fear for my son. The concern showed by the king showed he took this very seriously. Nightfall soon came and no incidents had occurred. After the duo patrolled the perimeter for suspicious activity or clues, Kim decided to contact Wade to get some more insight. Wade. Come in, Wade. Do you have any idea what time it is here? The pajama-clad hacker asked with a yawn. Are you picking up any aircraft in this area? No, my scans show nothing. Scan higher. There's gotta be something. After a moment, Wade's program locked onto something. Hey, that's weird. What? I'm picking up a satellite in geosynchronous orbit. Government? Military? Private. Some company called Rodhan Industries. The Knights of Rodhan. I need the communicator to broadcast a scramble signal. The hell? She heard Naruto cry out as she looked up. Not too far away, the blonde was dodging laser fire. The laser fire should stop about now. You rock in stereo, Wade. Can I go back to sleep now? What was that? Naruto asked, annoyed as he took off the go-kart helmet. Deciding to take it upon himself to look after the annoying prince, he borrowed the prince's spare go-kart clothes and helmet only to nearly be fried by laser fire. Wally! Wally! Where's my son? The king cried out as he ran toward them, only for Wally to dry up with a cup of tea and say, "Tea time." Oh, thank heavens! You see, Miss Possible, I have urgent need of your services. You simply must stay. Can't. But my son is not safe here. But I have to get back for the school for the election. What's an election? When people vote for who they want in administrative duties. In other words, not a monarchy. I've got it. What say Wally tag along with you? America is so much larger than our land. It would be a perfect place to hide. Ah! The prince cried out in delight as he clapped his hands. Well, Kim started, uneasiness marring her features. Is your crib in a hood? That could be quite exhilarating. Back in Middleton, Colorado? Oh, Mrs. Possible! The snooty prince cried out. Yes? By her tired reply, it was apparent and Possible had quickly reached the limit of her patience with the snooty royal. My cucumber sandwiches must have the crusts removed before they are presented to me. Kim! And Possible called out to her daughter in a warning tone, hinting that their guest was overstepping his boundaries. Mom, I know. But Wally won't be here long, just till he's out of danger, the heroine said, trying to defuse the situation. I'll show him danger if he doesn't get a clue, the older Possible woman grumbled. Oh, Mrs. Possible. Please, I beseech you, let me wear my own garments, not these common rags. You're keeping a low profile, remember? There he is! Prince Wally! Some random girl cried out with a fangirl wail. Kim gasped as she noticed the mob of people, the news band, and reporters. One in particular was a relatively known African-American reporter in blue, known as Trisha. Naruto, Kim said to the shinobi in a warning tone. Before you say anything, Kim, I'm just as surprised as you are. I mean, give me credit. It would be pretty stupid if I mentioned the location of the guy we were trying to protect, you know. It's not out of the realm of possibility to suggest we were followed the whole time. Outside, a news van pulled up and out stepped a cameraman and Middleton's very own Trisha Parkson of Channel 5 Middleton News. It's not every day that sleepy little town of Middleton prays host to royalty. Prince Wally was kind enough to grant us an interview. Your Highness, What brings you here all the way from your home in the east to Middleton join us here in Middleton High, and who are you endorsing for the upcoming election? Oh, yes, the endorsement. That one over there. Kim something or other. A bit high-strung to ever be a world-class leader, but perfectly adequate for public high school. Perhaps you think you'd be a better class president? Well, naturally, I had been groomed for greatness. Are you saying you would be a better president than KimPossible? No. I'm not saying that. Phew. Naruto let out a breath of relief. Perhaps the prince wasn't a complete jackass after all. Because it goes without saying, he finished with a laugh. Kim let loose a feral growl and had to be restrained by Naruto. Urge to kill rising. Whoa, settle down, Kim. Our mission is to protect the prince. Remember? Perhaps I shall toss my crown into the ring after all. A mass cheer erupted from the crowd of teenagers. Trisha made her way over to Kim and Ron. KimPossible, you're running against royalty. How does it feel? I relish the competition. After all, that's democracy is all about. Earning the right to lead. On close inspection one could tell those words were forced out. Unless, of course, one has the birthright to lead. Prince Waliad pompously. There you have it, folks, Middleton High is in for a battle royal. Time had passed, but the incident was later televised. From the TV, Trisha asked the all-important question. Who will win? The prince or the pauper? Pauper? Kim cried out in disbelief. I believe she was referring to you. Well, I shall consider my campaign strategy while lounging in the bath. Excuse me? Who plans to draw it this evening? Another growl escaped from Kim's lips as she had to mentally remind herself that harming the prince was against the good of the mission. Perhaps you, Mrs. Possible? You haven't been pulling your weight around here. Wally, I think we need to have a little talk about how we do things in the land of the free. Mr. Possible started, not amused by this man's arrogant and dismissive behavior towards his wife. Blah blah blah. Talk is cheap. 3 drops, not 2, not 4, and then sprinkle this lavender. You are a good man and true. I suppose to need some posters and buttons and such. He points to Kim. You'll get on that, of course? No. You shouldn't even be running at all. You weren't even nominated. Oh, I see. You feel threatened. I will gladly withdraw if that's what you want. But that's not what the people want, Naruto added. A devious idea came to Naruto's mind. Those same 2 guys in the cafe? Yes. And Brick is yesterday's news. Really? Totally, it's Wally all the way. I've got it all planned out. We have to get started immediately because the Possible campaign is way ahead of us. The Possible campaign? You're my campaign manager. Yeah, about that. It's like a conflict of interest. Good luck, Kim. Naruto stopped by Kim's side and whispered. When I'm done managing him, the voters would push for Stalin in a landslide for president. I got your back, KP. He winked and urged Kim to play along. Forcing down the small smile, she played along. I'll just run my own campaign with less golfing. The communicator went off. Hey, Wade. What's the sitch? I checked out Rodan's website. And? I found something. But I can't figure out what it means. The tapestry holds the truth. Pause for a moment as she tried to decipher the phrase. Thinking back to her time at the palace, it hit her as she gasped. There was a tapestry in the palace. I assure you, Miss Possible, my best people have examined the tapestry. They found nothing. King Wallace told her through the communicator as Kim suited up. Can't hurt to double check. Thanks for shipping it over so fast. I'll IM you if I find anything. Bye, she said as she cut it off. All right, Kimmy, we're ready to run the sequence, her father said as he suited up. Great. Thanks for letting me use your lab, Dad. The tapestry was lowered as Dr. Possible activated his equipment. Hey, what's federal funding for? See anything? He asked as he activated a beam from one of the laser devices fitting to scan on various different molecular levels. Nothing yet. Hold up. There's something there. Can you widen the beam? Sure thing. Awaiting the light of full harvest moon, Rodan's foe will soon face his doom. In the shadow of the palace, we will not deter Kim Red. The following day Kim had relayed the message to Wally. The monarchy ends with Wallace III. So, for my own good, I should keep a low profile. Guys, this is serious. Wally, you are definitely the target. And next week is a full moon. Next week also happens to be the election, which you would like very much to win, wouldn't you? Wally, I'm pretty sure Kim wouldn't go to these lengths to win an election. At least I hope she wouldn't. I'm trying to keep you safe from the Knights of Rodan. Miss Possible, this prophecy clearly states that I must be in the shadow of the palace. Now, do you see the palace? I don't, do you? That's true, I guess. Farewell, all. I'm off to biology class. Bye, Wally. Bye. Ta-ta. Apparently a good amount of the student populace was swooning over the prince for some unknown reason. Man, he could go all the way, Brick stated. Great. At this point the prince will be our next class president. Naruto deadpanned. What the hell was wrong with people these days? I bet he'll make regionals. Brick, there are no regionals for class president, Kim corrected. Oh well, he'll definitely be all-state. Ugh, Kim replied in disgust. What was it about jocks that the top of the food chain was so hooked on? Vote for me. KimPossible. Sorry, I'm already voting for Prince Wally, some random boy said as Kim's face fell. Oh. The bell rung and Kim went to class. Soon after she went to cheerleading practice. Hey guys. Sorry I'm late. Kim exclaimed as she entered the auditorium and cried out in distress noticing the giant poster of Wally. Ugh. Wally. The cheerleader swooned. Apparently personality didn't matter at all. As long as a guy had looks and money he could sway the general populace. At the Middleton mini-golf course. I'm telling you man. Push your support and pro-life and that women shouldn't be given the choice to choose abortions. If that doesn't screw him over then supporting gay marriage will definitely do it. Now how to trick him in supporting it? I prefer the royal angle. Yes. For the 15th time. I mean, don't you want people to like you as you? As a person? Both shared a laugh at this. What was I thinking? Naruto mumbled to himself. Anyway, what's your opinion on abortions? While Naruto continued to sabotage Wally, night soon fell upon Middleton. Hey Wade, Kim said, activating her communicator. How's it going? I'm all over it. I'm putting up Umfir posters, and I'm focus testing my new hair. Voters wanted it pulled back. What do you think? I mean, since the prince is on TV. Do you think the Knights of Rodan know he's in Middleton? Don't know. The prophecy mentioned a full moon. Sure did. Tonight is a full moon. Yeah, but it's like Wally said, he's nowhere near the palace. No palace, no prophecy. Where is he now? I'm guessing miniature golfing with his campaign manager, she gasped as realization struck. At Middleton mini golf. The 6th hole, it's a palace. Meanwhile, the prince and Team Possible were at the Middleton mini-golf course. "Where is that caddy?" The prince continued his pompous demands. "Degrading me to this," Rufus grumbled as he dragged the clubs. "Yes." The prince swung, only for his golf ball to be rejected by a sphinx. "Hey! By royal decree, I demand a do-over." Though the prince's whiny rant was cut off as the golf course object exploded. The prince cried out as Naruto yanked him off his feet and jumped back. He unceremoniously dropped the prince as Kim arrived just in time. "Took you long enough," Ron said, dusting off his mini-golf uniform. "You knew? Why on earth didn't you say anything?" "I sent you like 5 texts," he pointed out before he took notice of Kim's chance in hairstyle. "You changed your hair. You should wear that style more often," he complimented her. The auburn-haired girl's eyes widened as she blushed lightly and fixed her hair to its usual heart-shaped style. "Oh, I kind of like it like that." 2 knights appeared from the smoking mess. Both were wearing the Renaissance-style armor, consisted of helmet, arm, leg, and shoulder pieces over top a red suit. One was tan and the other was light-skinned with a brown goatee. Both were bulky, about the size expected from football players. Awaiting the light of a full harvest moon. Rodan's foe will soon face his doom. In the shadow of the palace, it will not be deterred. The monarchy ends with Wallace III. The 2 knights circled around the trio, both armed with weapons, a staff and mace respectively. "Well, as you know, I am known far and wide as Wally, so sure I." An audible thud shook the ground as the one with the staff jabbed his weapon on the ground a few feet in front of the cowering prince who tried to crawl away. "Leave him alone!" Kim cried out as she took out her blow dryer and activated the grappling hook attachment to grapple the knight's arm. "This is none of your concern, little girl." The knight attempted to yank back the hook, attempting to pull Kim off her feet only for the wire to be sliced clean through by a kunai. Hee, Naruto darkly chuckled. "And here I thought things were going to be boring," Naruto said as his hair began to grow and his features began to change shape. "Ah. Please. My father will give you anything. Whatever you want." Wally sobbed and begged for his life. "Please." "Wally, you should really shut up now," Naruto told him. "Gold. Jewels. Just speak the word, and I will grant you." Naruto shot forward as he body slammed Knight number 1 into Knight number 2 and sent both of them flying back. "Nothing. On second thought, I will grant you nothing." "His sob and whimpering is annoying," Naruto murmured as he paused in mid-step. Something familiar stung his senses. Kim, using her grappling hook, reeled the prince up a tree. "Stay here and be quiet." The prophecy never mentioned him. The first knight cried out as Naruto continued to sniff the air. "Naruto?" Kim asked, concerned as the blonde drifted into his own little world. "We have company," he said as the sound of chains filled the area. Out from the bushes sprout the demon brothers. He snarled as they shot forward, attempting to rip the 2 in their path to pieces. "Kim!" he cried out to the cheerleader, who immediately reacted. Reacting with superhuman reflexes, she did a split and jerked backwards as the chains narrowly missed her. Kim hit the ground and cried out as one of the sharp edges had cut the side of her right cheek. "One!" Gozu cried out as he and Meizu ensnared their chains around Naruto. With a yank, the blonde exploded in a shower of blood. "Naruto!" "No!" Kim cried out, her emotions overriding the logic. It wasn't everything that her best friend exploded in a shower of blood. "You're right one!" Naruto appeared behind Gozu. "Brother! Get out of there!" It was too late as the Naruto behind him began to glow. "Boom!" he said as he erupted in an explosion. Gozu's mangled screams filled the area as his arm was blown apart by the force of the blast. He fell to the ground in a bleeding mess as second-degree burns covered his body. I wasn't nothing more than a frightened child our last encounter. But I'll make sure that you two will never again get a chance to attack me. To think whoever is pulling the strings sent such weaklings like you after me. My patience is running thin. Naruto roared as he summoned his Zanbato. With frightening speed he appeared behind Meizu in a blink of an eye. Sheathing his sword, Meizu cried out bloody murdered as his legs were severed. His legs were now nothing more than bloody stumps. Cold and merciless. That was the emotion displayed in Naruto's eyes. If you two fools still want the prince? In that case try and go through me. I left them alive because I need information from them. You two don't have that luxury. We just want the prince, and if... Do not funk with me! Naruto roared, flaring his killing intent. The sheer pressure sent both knights reeling back into unconsciousness. Naruto turned to Kim, who was shaking in fear. That intent. That murderous intent and brutality. Naruto moved over to Kim and crouched, who shut her eyes in response, unable to form a reasonable thought and response. But all thoughts ceased when Naruto gently caressed her cheek where she was cut. They hurt you, he said gently, hurt and fear evident in his voice. I'm sorry. Tu won't let my enemies hurt you. I'll do everything I can to protect you, he warmly said as he placed a chaste kiss on her forehead. Kim ceased her shaking in response to the gesture. Her body moved on its own as she enveloped him in a hug. Tears started to flow as the last few minutes' events proved too much. As if reading her mind, he gently told her, You'll never lose me, Kim. I'll always be here for you. I'll always be here. Kim was able to pull herself together after a few minutes. He was not her Ron. He would never be her Ron again. But maybe he could be her. He soon pulled away from her and went to work. She watched as Naruto used what was called Gain Jutsu and sealed the prince's memories of everything shinobi related. Deeply in the pit of Kim's stomach it began to gnaw away at the fact that she stood aside and watched something like this took place and accept it. What in the hell is going on? Someone is definitely targeting me. But why send my weaker enemies? Why not someone like Madara or a controlled Nagato? Something isn't adding up. Am I being tested? Whatever is going on, I need to be ready. Time had passed as the proper authorities arrived to pick up the knights. Officer Hobble was a bit reluctant to believe that the two knights came to enact some prophecy, but all the same the knights were arrested. KimPossible, you saved my life. Apparently Naruto's Gain Jutsu was working perfectly. No big. Just doing the teen hero thing, she replied, trying to maintain character while ignoring the feeling in the pit of her stomach. No, you are a true leader. You have my vote. Well, that's at least 2 votes. At Middleton High the next day, the results for the election was being read. Alright, that's 402 votes for KimPossible, 0 votes for Brick Flag, 598 for Prince Wally. The students cheered. You had my vote, dude. Way to go, Brick exclaimed. It's a shame our society would vote for people based on looks and money than actual decent policies, character, or talent. A damned shame, Naruto grumbled. Well, this was quite an invigorating race. It sure was. Congratulations, son, an unexpected voice called out to the entrance. Daddy, you made it. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Now we must go home so that you may continue to prepare to take over the crown. Actually, Daddy, there's something I've been meaning to speak to you about. I decided that after you retire, I would like run for president of our land. Huh? Presidents don't get to wear the day coat with the ermine trim. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, well, sacrifices must be made. This contest has shown me that democracy is, as my Middleton peeps would say, fun diggity. Democracy? But that means no more kings. The prophecy. The monarchy ends with Wallace III. Well, it did come true, Naruto exclaimed. So it has. Cool. Now you can go home and show the democracy thing. Kim was quick to usher Wally to leave. No, Kim, I've decided to stay in Middleton and finish my term as class president. It's a magnificent burden. Wally's staying. That's great, just great. Kim deadpanned with a sigh. She looked at Naruto as an unfamiliar feeling began forming in the pit of her stomach. It was difficult to understand if they were growing apart or growing closer. From the sanction of his base, a figure watched in amusement the results of the election. Upon the numerous different screens, his image focused on Stoppable until the last few changed to Uzumaki Naruto during the Camp Wannaweep incident. I found you, Uzumaki Naruto. The figure rasped out. The dark hid most of his features, but he was relatively human with short reddish-pink hair and cold black eyes. He was quite small for his size and his teeth were razor-sharp and made of metal. His face was rather snake-like and his complexion a weird moldish cottage cheese-looking color. Behind him stood two more figures, inhumanoid figures to be exact. One had weirdy blue anime-ish type of hair and looking oddly reminiscent of a certain one-winged angel, and the other had silver hair, and his expression was cold and ruthless with dark gray lavish clothing and a saber strapped to his side. I brought you two back for revenge, I'm sure you're not going to object to. After all, he also had a hand in help killing you. So it's simple, kill Uzumaki Naruto and I will open the portals to your respective worlds so you can reap revenge. The figure said as a psychotic laugh filled the room. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.